Good morning, everyone. Welcome. This is a TradeStation webinar, and I want to, well, first of all, thank you for taking the time, out of your schedules to learn a little bit about TradeStation, its services, its technology, and we're very glad to have you all here. The chat is open, so I know that some of you have already, sent in your salutations. Welcome, everyone. Sometimes as an exercise, we share the city and the state that you guys are connecting from to see where everyone is coming from. We have over 100 people connected today, so I want to welcome you, everyone. So make sure that you feel comfortable, and we're going to go through some great functionality that is on TradeStation, and I'm sure everyone will enjoy. So the title of this presentation is Finding Unique Trading Opportunities Using RadarScreen. RadarScreen is a powerful tool that exists on the TradeStation platform that is there to help you find, these trading opportunities. So we're going to go through some functionality that will allow you to do that. And in the process of doing so, we're going to use this opportunity as well to address any questions or any concerns you have about the technology. So feel free to use the chat and tell us, what you're thinking about, and I'll address those questions as they come along. Okay. We have a few people connected here with us today, so thank you for taking the time. Before we get started, the usual introductions. My name is Jesus Nava. I am the Director of Client Training and Education for TradeStation Securities. And for me, if you've been with me for some time, you know that I'm always excited about, the technology and talking about TradeStation in general. So let's go through some of the disclosures. Just keep in mind that every symbol and idea that we talk about here is for educational purposes only. These are not recommendations of TradeStation. Also, everyone needs to be aware that active trading is not suitable for everyone, and that past historical performance is no guarantee of future results. We have some options disclosures at the bottom and some futures disclosures as well, depending on what asset class you may be trading. We may look at different examples today. And if anybody needs additional information on these disclosures, you can go to any of the links that are here on this slide. But I would start off with the one at the top, www.tradestation.com/important-information. All right. Are you guys ready? Let's talk about RadarScreens. Let me switch over to my TradeStation platform. And I don't have any other information on the PowerPoint slide, so I didn't create a PDF for download because I wanted to jump right onto the TradeStation platform and show you a practical way of utilizing the tool. And in addition to showing TradeStation RadarScreen on my screen, I also wanted to share a collection of studies that are custom, that are not part of the TradeStation platform, but I'm going to make them available to you right here. So let me just share that link with everyone. All right. So the zipped folder that I'm sharing here on the chat, if you click on it, it'll download a zip folder. The zip folder will have some custom studies and some TradeStation workspaces. That's all that it has. So you need to be on the TradeStation platform to be able to utilize the tools that I'm sharing. In order to open up the workspaces, though, if you're new to TradeStation, you need to install the indicators first. By the way, the indicators that I'm sharing with you guys today is not something new. So the indicators that I'm sharing with you guys today are variations of studies that already exist on the TradeStation platform, like MACD, key reversals, and we're also going to be looking at DMI. So these are things that are already on the platform. I'm just sharing with you a customized version of them that enhances the visual, gives you some nice coloring, and keeps track of other values that the built-in studies don't. So as I was saying before you even open any of the workspaces that are supplied inside of that zip folder, you have to install the indicators. And the way you do that, I'm not sure how long everyone here has been with TradeStation, but save those files to your local computer, double click on the studies file. Let me see if I can share, what that folder looks like right here on my screen. Or at least what the contents look like. All right, so here we go. Okay, this is an oversized window, so let me go ahead and resize it. All right, so inside the zip folder, you're going to find this, a total of 5 different files. The indicators are going to be in this green looking indicator, or green looking icon that's called RadarScreen Studies. Make sure that you double click on that file first. It'll import all those custom studies, and then you can go ahead and open up the workspaces. By the way, all these workspaces are created or were created using the most recent version of TradeStation. So if you're using, 9.5, you may not be able to open up the workspaces because they're not, backward compatible. But the workspaces, what they have is just the custom studies and radar. So you're going to see them right here on the screen as we go along. Okay, so enough of that. And let's go ahead and take a look at RadarScreen. I'm going to go here to apps, and let's go through RadarScreen as from a general standpoint and show you the reason why RadarScreen stands out from many of the TradeStation applications that exist on TradeStation and many quotes window that exist right now in the industry. So let's go here to RadarScreen and open it up. All right, and let's go ahead and resize my RadarScreen. By the way, if the questions that you're submitting to the chat are not topic related, I may just leave those to the very end. We are going to concentrate on just RadarScreen and talk about its functionality and how you can take advantage of it, okay? So let's go ahead and this is RadarScreen. You can see that it starts off as a regular quotes window, but it's much more than that. I'm going to add here a list of symbols from the data menu. I'm going to go to the symbol list because TradeStation, to make your use of RadarScreen a little bit simpler, we have these prepackaged list of symbols that you can add right out of the box. And it's convenient. So I can select, for example, the Dow Jones Industrial. And then you see I get the 30 symbols that make up the Dow Jones Industrial, and they get added to my RadarScreen at once. Not only that, all these symbols are updating in real time because I have all the data subscriptions to stocks. But if you find that you load a symbol list and you don't get real-time data on your symbols, it may just be a matter of adding, data to your TradeStation account. But all these symbols are updating in real time, and they're giving me, real-time quotes. What sets RadarScreen apart from any other quotes window is this column right here, interval. Interval is something that you are familiar with, but you're familiar with interval on a chart. The chart has interval, has a time frame. I mean, you can set up a chart on a 5-minute time frame or a daily time frame, whatever the time frame is, but that's a charting concept. So now here we have a quotes that has a column that references an interval. And technically, RadarScreen will act as a chart analysis window. Not only one single chart analysis window, but as many chart analysis windows as there are symbols in your RadarScreen. So in my RadarScreen, I don't have that many symbols. I only have 30, but this is like having 30 individual chart analysis windows at once. Why? Because I can come here to the plus right here at the very end. This is a way for you to add studies. And in RadarScreen, not only you have access to these quotes kind of columns that give you the last price, volume, that's data that's pretty straightforward and you can find it anywhere else. But here in add studies, you can add any technical study that you would usually find in charting. So if you're talking about the MACD or RSI or ADX, whatever technical study you use out there, you can put it on a RadarScreen window and have it calculate over all the symbols you have in there. Let me give you an example. Let's say, for example, that I'm using moving average 2 lines. I'm going to click on add, move it down, and click OK. There it is. My moving averages are being calculated on a 5-minute time frame for all the different 30 symbols. So yes, technically, I have 30 individual charts here because I'm able to see their moving averages. Every row is going to be downloading historical data on each one of these symbols and running real-time calculations on those moving averages. If you use moving averages, you know that what you're looking for is for the moving averages to cross. Technical studies in TradeStation have pre-programmed alert criteria. And all you need to do is turn that alert on. Very simple. What I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on the column header, go to edit, moving average 2 lines for all symbols. And then I'm just going to enable the alert. My alert will be continuous, but I'm going to disable messaging or the message center notifications. Why? I don't want any sounds. I don't want any pop-up windows because I'm going to be using RadarScreen as a filtering device. So I'm going to go here and click OK. And then you can see, I'm not sure if you see it on your side, but on the far right on the column, you see these yellow markers that tell you that there's an alert enabled inside those cells. None of the 30 symbols inside of the Dow Jones are giving me a real-time alert. So let me go ahead and change the time frame to see if there's any symbols that are giving me an alert on a daily time frame. I'm not getting any alerts on the 5 minutes, so let me switch it. To switch the time frame, you go to the symbol column, you go to the time frame drop down, and you select the time frame that you need. I'm going to set daily, and there we go. Out of all the symbols in the Dow Jones, the 30 symbols, I see 2 that are triggering the alert. How can I tell? Because there's a red marker next to their cells, next to the moving averages. If I pull up, and I'm going to do that right now, I'm going to pull up a chart analysis just to confirm the alert. I'm going to go here, chart analysis. Let me resize it, put it here on the right-hand side. All right. I'm going to change the chart to daily. And I'm going to go to studies, add studies, the same way that I did on the radar screen. I can add the same moving average to line. So let's go here, moving average to line. It goes on the chart. And one next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to link my chart analysis to my radar screen, which is also something very convenient. You know, I have this ability of clicking on any symbol inside of my radar screen and have my chart update to that symbol. So let me go here, click on the S's. The little box here for S is a symbol link. So I'm going to remove some of the columns on my radar screen that I don't need. I'm going to click on these 4 columns, remove them. Okay, and now I'm going to click on United Healthcare, UNH, and you can see the real-time alert here happening as we speak. You know, now how long would it have taken you if you had had to do this, you know, one by one? Maybe a while, because you have to pull up every symbol on a chart analysis and see if they're crossing. In fact, when we were just adding the indicator, we had another alert. I'm not sure if you see the shade of red on this particular alert, but it turned a little bit darker. Well, now it's bright again. Now it's dark. This is what's happening here is that there's a crossover happening on the current bar, and then the next tick, they're not crossing anymore, and then they're crossing again. So whenever that red changes tone, that's exactly what's happening. So let's take a look at Coca-Cola. And here we go. We have the 2 moving averages crossing on the current bar, but they're kind of touching right now. So depending on where the price is going, you know, those lines may separate by the time the bars close, but it's just giving you a sense of real time. It's happening right now. It's not a crossover. It's not a set crossover because the bar is still building, but at least, you know, there's an alert there that's telling you, hey, Coca-Cola is about to cross, and it may cross. So maybe it's something that we need to watch. So this is exactly what we're talking about, finding these signals that may have been difficult to see if you're not really watching Coca-Cola, if you're not really watching United Healthcare, you know, you may miss those signals. By adding hundreds of symbols into your radar screen, you're able to monitor lists of symbols and just let RadarScreen work for you and provide you alerts whenever any of the signals are triggered. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the comments that are coming through here, because some are having some issues downloading the file. So RadarScreen, by the way, Daniel, is not available on web trading. We have some, on web trading, we have some limited RadarScreen functionality, but not to the extent that we're going to be showing today. No download. All right. Let me ask you, has anybody been successful at downloading I just want to make sure that there's no issues with the download, because if there's isolated issues, then it may be, okay, so some people were successful in downloading. Thank you for confirming. What I can suggest is that you send us an email, and that way we can work with you in getting the files that you need. We may have to, attach them to an email. So I'm going to share an email address right here that you can write to. It's education@tradestation.com. And I'm going to be sharing that file again with everyone here. Okay, Jim, thank you so much for helping people out here. Yes, you have to go into the downloads folder. The link automatically downloads for you. So it's one of those things that it will not take you to a web page. It just downloads the file onto your computer, and you have to go to the downloads page. So take a look at that, all right? Okay, so a series of workspaces that we're going to go through, and the custom indicators that I'm sharing with you, these are just different ideas that allow you to identify different signals. Let's start off with the MACD. I'm going to come over here. Oh, and even before I show you the MACD, these alerts that are being generated, you can rank by sorting columns. You can sort and dynamically sort. So I can tell RadarScreen, hey, I have a long list of symbols, and I don't want to scroll up and down to look for the symbols that are meeting the criteria. And let me show you an example. Let me go here. I'm going to add the NASDAQ 100. 4 more symbols than what the Dow 30 are. And I'm going to remove this separator. The label row that I just deleted, like the title row, serves as a separator, but I don't want to separate lists. I just want this to be one long list. So I know that if I continue to scroll down, I get another symbol here. This is Micron Tech. And if I click on it, it's crossing on the current bar, and I get other alerts right here. But by using the filter bar up here, this is something really nice on RadarScreen, because I mean, you may have a ton of symbols in RadarScreen, and there's no better way to focus on what's important by just allowing RadarScreen to filter that list based on a particular alert. I can go to the drop down here on the first menu. It gives you a list of all the columns you have in your RadarScreen, and that gives you, of course, the idea that you can filter by any of these. I'm going to select the moving average, select alert, and then true. So I added the NASDAQ 100. I already had the Dow 30, so that's a total of 130 symbols. Some of the symbols may be repeated, based on the components of the index. But in a few minutes, I was able to narrow down that list of symbols, 130 symbols, to just 4. 4 symbols are triggering the signal for the moving average 2 line. Of course, it's a signal. It's not really something that you would go straight into trading. You'd have to go to the chart and analyze, all the historical movements and decide whether this would be a potential trade for you. But at least, I have the ability to add a technical indicator and get alerted on that. Not only, and this is where it gets even better, because you're not only given all these built-in analysis techniques like the MACD, moving averages, you can create your own. I'm not sure if you've heard of Easy Language, but Easy Language is a proprietary language, TradeStation's proprietary language, that allows you to create custom studies and custom indicators. That way, you can bring in your own personal calculations, your own custom formulas into a RadarScreen and have it monitor real time and let you know which symbols are meeting the criteria that you want. All right. So Richard, to add any custom study, but the ones that I supplied in the download zip folder, remember that those need to be imported. So double click on that ELD that we talked about, and that'll import the studies into your TradeStation. We're going to take a look at a few here in just a moment, and you'll see how they're listed with all the built-in. But if you're interested in creating your own custom studies, join me in my masterclass sessions that we do every Tuesday. Periodically, we do an easy language class, and we talk about basic concepts on how to get ideas together and create them into easy language. All right. Richard, if you don't have the plus at the end, just go to studies and click on add studies. That'll take you there. Okay. Bob is asking, what happens if other symbols give you a signal? Well, right here we have the radar screen filtered, but it's a dynamic filter, which means that it's always looking for new alerts. So if there's a symbol that triggers the alert in the next 5 minutes, that symbol is going to be, it's going to pop up here in this list, and it's going to be the 5th symbol that generates the alert. So it's a dynamic filter, and whenever any symbol meets the criteria, it's going to be added to the list automatically. All right. So let's go ahead and take a look at the custom studies that we talked about. I'm going to start off with the MACD. Again, the MACD that is supplied in the custom folder, it's a variation of the MACD that already exists on the platform. In fact, let me just show you. I'm going to go to studies and add studies. The one that is in here starts with a special character @. So if I go to @ARTTS, that's where the list of studies are going to be. So here's the MACD chart, and this is the one that we're using right now. @ARTTS MACD. They're all grouped together. So any content from Art of TradeStation is going to be grouped together as it shows right here on my screen. But I wanted to show the regular MACD so you can see the variation. MACD, and I click OK. So this is the MACD. You can see that what we've done is that we've removed the 2 lines, the 2 moving averages of the MACD, and just concentrated on the histogram. So that's pretty much all that we're doing. And we're also changing the colors and enhancing the way that you can monitor the crossovers of the MACD, because the MACD difference is the main signal of the indicator. And when it's crossing to the positive side, it's a bullish signal. And when it's crossing to the negative side, it's a bearish signal. So you want to be aware of what the current signal is. So let me remove the built-in study. And as I said, on the custom study, we're removing the moving averages. We're concentrating on the difference. And in addition to the difference, we're also monitoring the strength of that difference, meaning that as the values move away from 0, or get further away from 0, you get a brighter color on the histogram. And when the number gets closer to 0, then we have a darker shade of that same color. The reason for that is because at those points where you don't have that brighter color, it just means that the MACD value itself, it's losing strength, it's losing steam, and it may be heading in the opposite direction. And that's the reason why this indicator was designed this way, just to enhance that visual, that as it's moving away from 0, there is a stronger signal in that direction. But as it gets closer, it may be just, changing its mind, changing direction, losing steam, losing strength, however you want to call it, but it's not as strong as it was before. The charting indicator is very similar to what we see here in RadarScreen. Yeah, today's presentation is all about RadarScreen. So RadarScreen is going to give you a few more details about what's happening on this indicator. First of all, right here we have the indicator as a column. We have the mode of the indicator. So any stock that has a negative value on the MACD difference has a bearish mode, and any stock that has a positive value on the MACD difference is going to have a bullish comment here. So that's the mode of the stock. The brightness of the color is based on the direction of that value, if it's getting stronger or not. So if I go here, for example, on diamonds, DIA, you can see in charting that it has a bullish mode and it's getting incrementally higher. And that's why it has that brighter cyan. But if I go to the Qs, for example, the bullish is still bullish because we are on the positive side of the histogram, but it's on the current bar, it's losing a little bit of strength. It's not as high as it was on the prior bar. And that's the reason why it's colored a little bit of a darker shade. In addition to giving you the mode in which the stock is at the moment, it also tells you if there's any real-time alerts, which is pretty helpful because the fact of having the alert as a column here allows me to sort the alert column and see the ones that are triggering the alert right now. So let me go ahead and double click on alert, and it groups, the alerts to the very top. Just a moment ago, I talked about separators. And here we have, these are the sectors. These are some ETFs. And here we have some big volume value stocks. And these are labels that you can add to your radar screen to create separation between your symbols. And it makes a very nice organizational tool for you to keep things, together. So if you have futures on one group, you don't want futures to get mixed in with stocks. If you were to sort by symbol here, and you didn't have these separators, they would be mixed all together in alphabetical order. So those separators come in very handy to keep your lists separated. And you can add them by going to data and add either a blank row or a label row. These are all label rows, and you can add a custom label just to keep things organized, okay? So I was talking about double clicking on the alert subheader and sorting by alert. These are stocks that are giving me a new alert. So here we have discretionary, so XLY. We click on it and take a look at what's happening on the current bar. On the current bar, the MACD is showing us that it's switching to the negative side. We have a big gap on today's market activity, and the value of this ETF, it's going down. If you were not following SLA as one of your sectors, this just gives you an indication that something is happening to it. If you find any, or if you have any positions on this particular sector, then maybe pay attention to them. What's going to happen to them? We've had a very good run up on XLY in the past few weeks, but all of a sudden we have this very down bar on this particular ETF. Something to watch, something to keep an eye on. On big volume value stocks, we have Amazon giving us a bearish signal. Now, if we look at the MACD here, and this is the reason why we not only go by what the radar screen indicator is telling us, we also have to come back here to the chart. And I would look at Amazon and say, well, if I look at the MACD down here, it seems like we've had back-to-back signals on Amazon. Bullish, and right now bearish. So there's no clear indication of where the price may be headed. And in the past few days, you can see how the market has moved sort of sideways. So it's always important to come over here to a chart to get a little bit of a glimpse of what's happening to the chart historically, and not only rely on the signal that RadarScreen is generating. So it does provide you a little bit more information so that you can make a decision that makes sense, that has some foundation to it, okay? But it's very interesting that we're able to see all these symbols that are triggering alerts on the MACD. So we talked about the colors, we talked about bullish and bearish mode and the new signals. This column right here, very cool because it keeps track of how long has it been since the MACD crossed over. Pretty cool. All the ones that have a real-time signal that have this kind of greenish color or kind of gold color in the background, they're all going to say 0 because the crossover is happening on the current bar. So it's at 0, it's right now. But if you look at any other number here, like for example, if we look at here, ABEV, AmBev, we look at it, it's bearish, but the bearish crossover happened 14 days ago. Or 14 bars. This is bars ago, but I'm looking at a daily chart, so that's why I said daily. But if you're looking at intraday, which you can, if you're more of an intraday trader, and you can change the frequency not only of the chart, but you can also change the frequency of your radar screen and look at the signals intraday. Right now, they're all set to daily, so I'm able to see how many days ago the crossover happened. So for that stock, even though it's bearish, it's happened, 14 bars ago. So this is an interesting idea. Not only looking at what's happening right now in terms of crossing over, but also how long has it been since any of these symbols have triggered an alert? Are they due for an alert? So if I double click on the bars ago once, it'll sort in ascending order. But if I double click one more time, it'll sort in descending order. And I can see stocks, for example, like Snap. Snap crossed over to the positive side 45 days ago. And we can see based on this MACD that the MACD values are decreasing. Now, it may not mean anything, it's happened before where, right over here, we had that same behavior where it dropped, almost crossed zero, but it didn't. It went up again. So it kind of just, it tests that zero line. So this could be, similar to what's happened before. So we're not saying that it's, ready for a crossover to the negative side, but it does, give you some insight about which symbols have been on either side for a long time. And that could mean something. That could give you a little bit more information of what's happening to the stock and how long has it been since a signal happened, okay? Rodney is asking, can you use RadarScreen for options? Sure you can, yes. You can add symbols or option symbols to RadarScreen and scan for them, for sure. All right. Perfect. I'm going to share the link one more time for the download in case you haven't seen it. And let's go here and talk about, wanted to show you one feature before we go to the next workspace and the next idea. Let me go here to the workspace that we started off with. If you are looking for preset list of symbols, we talked about the ones that are here in data and add a symbol list. You can go to other symbol lists where TradeStation will take you to prepackaged list of symbols. We have, the TradeStation symbol lists. We also have symbol lists provided by Reuters. We can go into industry groups, and if you want to go to the financial, you can go to insurance, life insurance, and you can view the symbols if you want to before adding them, and just gives you, a list of symbols that are part of that industry. So yes, if you're interested in a particular industry sector, come in here, look at the symbols that make up that sector, create your own custom lists, save them. RadarScreen is going to be able to monitor them for you. By the way, if I haven't said this, I'm going to say it right now. There is a limitation to the number of symbols that RadarScreen can scan through in real time using technical studies. That number is 1,000. So once you exceed that number, RadarScreen will be very quick at telling you, hey, you've exceeded the limitation of 1,000 symbols. But 1,000 symbols is a lot. So what I would recommend you do, instead of wanting to scan the markets, the whole universe of symbols, which is close to the 10,000 symbols, rather than wanting to add all those symbols to RadarScreen, do some initial filtering, some initial narrowing of the symbol universe, so that you look at symbols that you want or you're interested in. And I'll give you an example. Over here on these sample workspaces that I've provided you, I have this header that says big volume value stocks. So big volume value stocks. It's a simple scan that I created here in RadarScreen, not in RadarScreen, I'm sorry, in the scanner, that allows me to look for stocks that have a high volume and have a big market cap. And that way I can put those symbols right here into my RadarScreen because I'm interested in high volume and high value stocks. If I go over here to a new workspace, let me show you quickly what the scan looks like. I'm going to go into the scanner. We have a video on the website that talks about the scanner. So you can just go to the TradeStation YouTube channel and search for scanner, and you're going to find plenty of instructional videos on how to use this tool. But I created a scan called big volume and value stocks. And if I look at the details of that scan, notice that there's two filters only. One filter is a volume average for the past 10 days greater than 10 million. So we want stocks that have at least an average of 10 million shares traded per day for the past 10 days. And then we have a market cap, which is expressed in millions, higher than 1,000. which makes that market cap higher than $1 billion. Okay, so I have those two filters, and this runs and looks for stocks that meet the criteria. Now, if I look at my results, let me open this up. I have, when I ran it this morning, I had 101 symbols meeting the criteria. So I just copied the symbols and I went over here to my radar screen and I pasted them in here. So these are the ones that came up this morning. And you can run this, on a weekly basis or a daily basis, how often you want to run it. But this allows you to be a little bit more critical, or at least, look for stocks that are meeting certain characteristics. And if volume and, market cap or something is important for you, then you can use those as filters to have a collection of symbols. Somebody else was asking about options in RadarScreen. Let me show you something really quick as well, and then we'll just browse through the different workspaces that I provided here. But in addition to, the industry sectors that we provide, in addition to the scanner window that I just showed you, where you can pull in a list of symbols, you can also combine this with a hot list. Notice that I'm right-clicking on a tab here and go to hot lists. So this opens up a hot list inside of RadarScreen. So I have a preset list of symbols that I can manage using the hot list. I'm going to increase the number of symbols to 100. I'm going to go here and say, let's say, for example, you want to track stock options. I'm going to go to stock options. So these are the stock options that have gained the most money-wise. Let's go to percentage and see if let's go to a percent gainer. Calls, let's do calls and puts. So these are 100 symbols that have the highest percentage change from the close of yesterday. So we can see some options that are in the thousands % change from the close of yesterday. It'd be interesting to look at those calls and see, which ones provide trading opportunity. But these are lists of symbols that come for you. They're pre-packaged based on a certain condition, certain criteria. If you want to see the options that are most traded, then I go over here to my volume lists and I say, give me the most active call put volume. You can see a lot of those options are going to be in the spiders, and you can see the put call volume right here listed in order. So sorted in descending order. So I just gave you a few ways for you to look for symbol lists. So if you're not so much interested in industry sectors or prepackaged list of symbols, you can use the scanner, you can use the hot list, all those you can integrate into RadarScreen to look for trading opportunities, okay? So let's go over here to the MACD. We already talked about the MACD. Let's go here to the key reversal. Key reversal is a simple technical study. In TradeStation, by default, it exists in the Show Me's category. So what it does, it's going to mark every candle or every bar where a key reversal exists. So this is a variation of that same concept. And what this indicator is looking, let's talk about the one in charting. I'm going to go to Studies, Edit Studies. This one's called at RTS Key Reversal Charting. I'm going to customize it because the inputs have a KR strength. This is the key reversal strength. This is the number of bars that is going to be tracking to find a highest high and a lowest low, which is interesting because the default key reversal in TradeStation is just looking at 2 bars. So if you have a higher high and then the close is lower than the previous close, you have a key reversal down. Now on the opposite side, if you have a lower low and then the close is higher than the previous close, then you have a key reversal up. So just 2 bars. In this example, in this indicator is looking at 13 bars in history. So it's looking at this high is higher than the 13 bars prior. So it gives you a little bit of flexibility in terms of how strong do you want your key reversal to be? How far back am I going to be looking at in order to identify that key reversal, which is really interesting. And it gives you some other inputs to customize the size and the style of the arrow. But I think this is key here, the strength of the key reversal. Because you may add, the built-in key reversal show me, and maybe the arrows don't align with the dots. It's just because the calculation has been adjusted a little bit different so that you have this flexibility of adding a concept of strength to your key reversal, okay? In addition to that, over here in RadarScreen, there's a few things going on. First of all, the mode, bearish and bullish, based on the prior key reversal. So if I go here to the Qs, QQQ, you can see how the most recent key reversal signal that is right here on the chart is a bearish key reversal. And that's why the mode is bearish. Does that make sense? And it also tells you how far ago or how long ago that key reversal happened. It was 1 bar ago, and we can see it literally right here, happened yesterday, that key reversal down. A lot of times when the market is trending, some of these signals are false signals. Like, for example, all the past 9 or 10 different key reversal downs on this Qs chart would have been bad trades unless there would have been short-term trades. For example, here we get a key reversal down. If you had kept that trade for a few days, maybe that would have been a good trade. But on a regular uptrend, a lot of these key reversal downs are pretty much ignored. So you'd have to look at other indicators that look at trend. And if the market is trending, then maybe the key reversals that are happening on the opposite side of that trend are probably going to be ignored. So those are things that we have to think about and take into consideration when we are analyzing these signals. In addition to giving you the mode, notice that you have other two text annotations here, HH setup, and we have one that says LL setup. HH setup is higher high setup, and LL is lower low setup, which means that it has met the criteria or the setup to create a key reversal up or a key reversal down. Let's take a look at one. Let me take a look at diamonds, for example. Diamonds right here, you can see that we are on this, it's making a new high today. And if you look at that high or the closing price, that is higher than the past 13 bars. So for RadarScreen, it's just telling you, hey, diamonds is probably something you need to look at because we are at a higher high than the past 13. And if we get a close that is lower than the prior bar, then we have a key reversal down. It's just showing you setups that are about to be completed on the high side and on the low side. For example, here on Ford, we have the opposite. We have a low, or the closing price is lower than the past 13. And we may be setting up for a key reversal up. Does that make sense? So that's HH setup and LL setup. And in addition to that, we have color. You see these ones that don't have a magenta or a cyan? That's just because of distance to where the most recent key reversal happened. So if on the chart there's nothing happening for a long period of time, we're going to remove the color and letting you know that it's not something that happened recently. It's a long time since it happened, so maybe it's not as prominent as the ones that have the magenta and the bullish. So for example, if I go over here to let's go here to bearish on the healthcare sector. You see how it says bearish, but you see it's bearish based on this key reversal down, but it's happened, I think the measure here is to look at 20 bars, I think. So if it's happened 20 bars ago or longer, further back, then it's going to remove the color. It's bearish, but it was because of a long time ago. That's the concept here in the coloring, just telling you how fresh that mode is, okay? Yes, and I see Mohammed's coming here. Isn't that late to enter after 13 days? Yes, and that's the reason why we have this concept of coloring based on how long has it happened since the signal happened. So good point. Gary is asking, can I use multiple screens on my radar screen on another monitor? For sure, yes. You can open up multiple radar screen windows. It does allow you to do that. And you can have multiple tabs right here at the bottom. We've looked at stocks, but there's a tab here that I'm providing on these custom workspaces that also provide you a futures list. And you can also look at the lists that are available for futures. The next concept is DMI. DMI, of course, is a little different than the one that is supplied by default. If I were to add the study here, the default DMI, let's just compare this. All right, this is what the DMI study looks like. And what the custom indicator is doing is just taking DMI plus, DMI minus, and subtracting them from each other. And that creates an oscillator from negative to positive. And that's exactly what's happening here. So when the DMI plus, which is represented by the cyan line down here, is higher than the DMI minus, then you have a positive number. But when it's backwards, when the red line here is above the cyan line, we have a negative value. And that's what's represented here in this custom DMI indicator that is just focusing on the crossovers between the DMI plus and the DMI minus. Let me remove the built-in DMI and look at this. And it has the same coloring concept that we looked at MACD. As the values move away from zero, they're going to have a brighter color because it's gaining a little bit of strength. But on the opposite, if they're moving towards zero, then they're colored with a darker shade, letting you know that they've probably changed direction or lost a little bit of steam or lost a little bit of strength. We have that same concept represented here in RadarScreen, where you can filter by mode, some signals that provide you when the crossover is happening. So if I go to consumer staples, that's the chart we're looking at right now. Notice that it went from a negative to a positive, highlighted by that arrow. So we are on a new bullish mode, and it gives you a new bullish signal. And again, the bars ago that you can double click and sort, just to see what the new alerts are, or when the symbols that haven't crossed in a while. It also provides you that information, okay? Let's see, Daniel's asking, can you save a specific study to one stock and same study with different variable to another? Yes, for sure. These indicators are completely customizable. So if you have the same indicator on another workspace with different parameters, you can save that, and TradeStation will remember those parameters and bring them up when you load TradeStation. The last workspace that I wanted to show you, and I know that we are running out of time here, is this workspace that's called a sector score. Very interesting workspace. I wouldn't, focus on the charts here on the right-hand side. On the right-hand side, or the two charts that you see here on the right-hand side, is just to let you know that we are loading different data streams. And each one of those data streams is represented by a line. But it's really tough to make some sense out of what's happening on these charts. I mean, you can try and see, sometimes you see a clear outperformer or underperformer, for example, right here on this is my daily chart. You can see that the underperformer is kind of the cyan line. For the top performer or the outperformer is really tough to see, but I think it's the one that's bright red. So a lot of times it's hard to see what's going on these charts, but wanted to give you a visual of what the sector score study is doing. RadarScreen organizes that a little bit better because it shows you the symbols that are being added to the charts. So these are all the sectors from the S&P 500 as ETFs, and it follows those sectors in this way. Now, if you look at RadarScreen, the sectors that are here, let me highlight them right there, are repeated again. So the list of sectors here below is the same list of sectors right here above. The reason why we are repeating them inside of this RadarScreen is because one group is set to daily and the other one is set to 60 minutes. Because you can, in order for you to track these performance measures at different time frames, you just need to, list the symbol multiple times and modify the time frame for that symbol so that you can track performance. So we have a daily performance and we have an hourly performance. And what this is tracking is just plain percent change. So it looks complicated, but it's not really. It's just looking at each one of these sector ETFs, seeing how they're performing based on a look back period. And let me show you where the look back is. If I go here and right click and try to modify this study on the inputs tab, you can see the score length is looking at 13 bars. So on the daily, it's going to be 13 days performance. And on an hourly, it's going to be 13 hours of performance. And it's going to calculate that performance for you. Not only is it going to give you a bullish or bearish type of mode based on where they are on the zero line. If it's positive performance, it's bullish. If it's negative performance, it's bearish. Very simple calculation. There's no complexity here. It tells you when there's an alert. The alert is based on where it crosses from one side to the next. We have here materials are going from negative to positive. Now this is XLB. And if we look at our chart here, by the way, the alert was triggered on a 60-minute. So I have to look at the 60-minute chart. Now materials, XLB, if you look at the data or the status line at the top, XLB is the cyan line. And I can make that line out of this spaghetti chart right here. It's right here. And you can see that from the prior bar to the next bar, it went from negative to positive. And that's what's being considered a signal for materials, that is going from negative to positive, and is considering that a new bull cross. In addition to that, it gives you a score based on that percent change. Now, there's a factor that is applied to the percent change, very straightforward. I think it's 10,000. So it takes a percentage, multiplies it by 10,000, and that's the score that you see here. But it does allow you to double click on the score here and see which ones are outperforming and which ones are underperforming. You can see that if I on a daily time frame, the outperformer right here is right here, XLF. And if we find that here on my daily chart, XLF, let me just see something here, because XLF on a daily chart is the magenta line. So it's giving you a score based on percentage change previously. So it's not really the one that is outperforming right now. Actually, it should be. That's interesting. So let me take a look at this indicator. So because I wanted to, it's the same look back daily chart. XLF has a score of 472. I'm going to have to look at this, but this is designed to give you that sort of score. Let's see, on a 60-minute, we have XLY right here at the bottom has as the lowest performer. So we were able to see the XLB right here went from negative to positive. And then it's telling us that XLY, which one is XLY? The dark red. Okay, so this is this is fine. I'm not sure why it wasn't showing on my screen, but XLB on the other side, yeah. So XLB is the underperformer. XLF is the outperformer. XLF is the magenta line, but it's not. There may be an issue here, but I'm not sure why the magenta line should be at the very top, since this is the top performer. I'll have to look that in a while. But this is a great chart for you to bring in different sectors if that's your thing, and take a look at which one is the one that is outperforming, and kind of look at your positions and see if they match the performance of these sectors. All right, so let's see if we can open up the floor for Q&A. I'm sorry I took up a little bit of more time than what I was supposed to, but I wanted to make sure that everyone was aware of all the functionality. Let's see. Stephen, thank you for helping Mustafa. Yes, you have to double click on the ELD before you open up the workspaces. Otherwise, you're going to get these errors that say, hey, the indicator has been deleted. So make sure that if you're opening the workspaces, that you've imported the indicators first. Thank you, Stephen. The scans presented, Ronald. Yeah, the webinar has been recorded and it'll be available in our YouTube channel in a couple or a few days. Once we get the proper approvals and the videos edited, we'll have it ready for everyone. So just watch out on our YouTube channel. If you're subscribed, and you should get an alert notification that a new video has been uploaded. Yes. Herbert, I hear you. I can see that you're having issues with deleting a symbol and missing a column. I'm not really sure what's going on your radar screen, but get the attention of our technical support team, and I'm sure they'll help you, troubleshoot it and find out what the problem is. All right. Sergio is asking, can you graph options from the radar screen? Technically, you can, yes. If you have a list of option symbols inside of RadarScreen and you link RadarScreen to a chart, you should be able to click on the option symbol and load a chart. And if it has historical data, it should give it to you, okay? Bino is asking, can you set up RadarScreen that uses multiple factors to assess like MACD, stochastics, and Bollinger Bands? For sure, Dino. Yes. Today, we just looked at individual ideas. For example, we looked at the MACD by itself. We looked at the key reversal by itself. But if you want to combine multiple concepts into just one and create a filtering study that has all these different technical calculations together, that's certainly something that can be created in TradeStation. At one point in my presentation, I talked about creating your custom studies. So this is one of those ideas that you can build in TradeStation and say, I only want to be alerted if a symbol is meeting the criteria of the MACD, the stochastics, and the Bollinger Band all together in one signal. Totally doable, okay? So Mira, to fix the mistake of downloading ELD first, just close all the workspaces that you opened, and then go to the ELD first. Double click on it, and it should import the indicators first, and then go back and open up the workspaces. All right. And that's it. I think that's all the questions. I want to appreciate your time. Guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you walk away with something useful. If you have any questions about the presentation or anything that's going on with the education team, make sure that you email us at education@tradestation.com. But I want to thank you for your time. Have a wonderful afternoon, and good luck in your trading. Goodbye, everyone. Great having you.